Hello and welcome. What a phenomenal occasion this is, with all the promise of a new academic year, the excitement of our entering class, and the anticipation of what we all can achieve together. Let me take a moment to just tell you how thrilled I am. It says happy, but that doesn't quite capture it. I am thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled to be your new president, and I promise you I will give my heart and soul to make this college even better than the outstanding institution it already is. This has been a remarkable 3 months for me. I've gotten to know so many of you, members of the faculty and staff, community members, board members, and friends who share the great love and affection of this college. I will now ask you to please remain standing for the invocation, which is going to be delivered by the Reverend Jonathan Ford of Chauncey Bible Church in Silver Spring, Maryland. Reverend Ford is the father of one of our first-year students, Bethany Ford.
Let's pray. God of all knowledge and wisdom, compassion and peace, imagination and love, we pause today in this convocation to recognize the limitations of our individual efforts and to recognize and request divine intervention as we seek to increase the powers of truth, beauty, and goodness in our world. Whether as an instructor or a student, we ask that you enlarge our capacity to grasp truth, to communicate and understand the facts of our physical world, from the cosmic to the quantum, in a way that will unravel mysteries and open doors of possibility for generations to come. Help us to think in ways that honor the education and wisdom imparted by the esteemed faculty here at Washington College. In our ever-evolving society, we ask that you grant to us your spirit of justice and mercy. As we pursue the study and implication of humanities, both in our classrooms and in our communities, may the influence of our compassion permeate this campus, and may the impact of our goodness be felt wherever there is need. In these days of so much desperation, help us to be your instruments of peace. And we ask that you expand our imaginations to recognize layers of harmony and complexity and experience and love that have yet to be realized. Give us courage to push boundaries, to explore possibilities, and to interpret realities with the eye of an artist, the ear of a musician, and the heart of a poet. Help us to produce hope as we add beauty to this world. Believing that these virtues reflect your desires for us, we humbly pray. Amen.
Thank you. I see that you've all been through this before. I haven't. It says to remind you to remain standing for the national anthem. You've done this before. So thank you. And so we'll now have Wacapella is ready to come out. Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what's the proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. So thank you, Reverend Ford, and thank you, Acapello. Please be seated. Mr. Sorenson, Ms. Horner, Provost DeQuinzio, Dr. Hall, Dr. Markham, Mr. Robin Bach, President Quiros, Marshall Gillen, Reverend Ford, students, faculty, staff, friends, and most of all, members of the Washington College class of 2021, welcome. Some people have asked me why on earth I would want to be a college president when I could be enjoying a quiet life of retirement. The word I was going to substitute for quiet was boring life of retirement. But they obviously don't know Washington College in the way I've learned to know it. This is a dream job for me. Because of this wonderful community, because of people like you in the audience, because of the students who enjoy a world-class education here, and because of alumni you've guided and inspired, and especially because of the people who are sharing the stage with me. I'm particularly impressed with our two young Alumni Horizon Ribbon recipients, Brenna Nan Schneider and Minty Abraham Wade, who were best friends in college, fellow world travelers, and fellow dreamers. Each has followed her passion in careers that put the welfare of others ahead of themselves. In Brenna's case, she is reinventing America's textile industry by following a business model of social entrepreneurship. In Minty's case, through her work with USAID, she directs assistance and protection to the most downtrodden and destitute people on earth. Refugees and displaced populations who've lost everything, including their homeland. Each of these young women represents the heart and soul of Washington College. They're individuals who were compelled to change the world in their own way, and who continue to pay it forward by sharing their stories with the students who followed them here. Minty, in fact, spent some time with first-year students in Professor Christine Wade's pre-orientation program, Ms. Representation, just 2 weeks ago. It's great to have you here with us again. And to our faculty. Last spring, the students and faculty of Washington College singled out Dr. James Allen Hall, an associate professor of English and director of the Rose O'Neill Literary House, to receive the 2017 Distinguished Teaching Award. Besides being one heck of a writer and a gifted teacher, James is the sort of guy who radiates kindness. Kindness in a way that is almost inexplicable, and compassion. Like the young women being honored today, he too has a strong social conscience, a moral compass that points us to a brighter future. Now, I've told this story many times, but since I'm up here, I'm gonna tell it again. When I interviewed for this job 2 years ago, one of the people on the search committee was a young student. And we went through the whole process of interviewing, and I asked this young student, after he asked me some stuff about the dining hall and that stuff, I asked him, so tell me something. I want to know what you learned at Washington College. Now, he didn't talk about his statistics class, and he didn't talk about the diplomacy skills he learned through the Model United Nations program, or the time management skills that he picked up as a student athlete. He told me that he learned the concept of moral courage. If my children would have said that, I would have written them a check for big money. This young man had learned how important it is to stand up for what you believe, to speak out, to understand right from wrong, to act in such a way that you bring about positive change. And that's even if you fear the consequences. What's your company going to think What are your friends going to think? What's your family going to think? He understood that moral compass and moral courage forms our lives. Our honored guest today, Arne Sorenson, has taken the high road too. As Chief Executive Officer of Marriott International, this is a man who truly cares about the people who work for him and who has led the company's environmental sustainability initiatives, mindful of social, cultural, and environmental issues, and Marriott's influential role as a worldwide employer. Mr. Sorenson co-founded the corporation's Global Sustainability Council and launched its Rainforest Preservation Partnership with Amazonas Sustainable Foundation in Brazil. What a wonderful role model he is for our students. And I look forward to hearing his story later in the program. Before I introduce our first speaker this afternoon, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce someone else. In addition to me, she's also extremely happy to be here. My remarkable wife. Stand up, Rita. Rita, please keep standing. This is the only time I can do this, folks. Rita has been extraordinarily supportive of me. And when I decided to reinvent my life again, she was there for me. This time as president of this wonderful college. She's a public health professional. Rita earned her degree in community and family studies at the University of Delaware, where she recently joined the faculty at the University of Delaware's College of Health Services as professor of, this is very long, so bear with me, professor of clinical practice and the Distinguished Health and Social Services Administrator in Residence. Rita previously served for 8 years as the Cabinet Secretary of Delaware's Department of Health and Social Services. Rita and I are both getting to love this town and this college. Now, I'm going to break from the script for just a minute. I'll ask you to do something for me. For the past 9 years, because I went to New Jersey, I'd come back to Delaware, and I'd introduce myself, and I'd say, I'm Kurt Landgraf, and there'd be a glint of recognition, and I thought, wow, this person remembers that I used to run 2 of the largest companies in Delaware. No. Every person I met said, really? Are you related to Rita? So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. When you see her later, I want you to say to her, hey, are you related to Kurt? This will be a life dream for me come true. Thank you, Rita. Now, it's truly a pleasure to introduce one of our own bright young citizens, Washington College May Quiros, president of the Student Government Association, a double major in political science and economics from Aurora, Colorado. May is very happy to be here and to be in Chestertown. May.
On behalf of the student body, I would like to welcome the members of the Board of Visitors and Governors, Washington College alumni, faculty, staff, parents, students, and our honorees, including our very own Dr. James Allen Hall, alumni Minty Wade and Brenna Schneider, and our honorary degree recipient Arne Sorenson. Today we are gathered to honor those who day in and day out epitomize the ideals and principles that we hold so dearly. At a time when the world is growing ethically challenged, it's inspiring to find individuals who continuously embody values we cherish at Washington College. Dr. James Allen Hall, students have described you as passionate, relatable, and challenging. One student in particular told me, he always makes you feel safe and important, but his work is challenging, and it pushes you to try harder and to be better. It is your dedication and passion for your work that inspires your students every day. Arne Sorenson, CEO of hotel giant Marriott International. You have never once let the fear of backlash or consequence keep you from speaking out on what you believe is right or wrong. Your engagement in public dialogue as a world-class leader is powerful and truly a model for moral courage. Brenna Schneider, founder of 99 Degrees Custom, a U.S. apparel manufacturer. You are empowering a once abandoned workforce and propelling their industry into the future. You are a visionary, an innovator, and a true advocate for social justice. Minty Wade, you credit your success at the State Department and the U.S. Government Accountability Office to your time here at Washington College. The courses you took, the faculty that guided you, and the programs you participated in have all helped lead you to where you are today. I don't know about you, but I am more convinced now than ever before that a liberal arts education, combined with hard work, dedication, and passion, will help shape every one of its students into the best version of themselves. The Student Government Association, with you all as role models, looks forward to the school year and the opportunity to serve the student body. Last spring, we all came together and created a platform that tackles issues such as improving student leadership skills, addressing environmental concerns, and improving community relations. This is a year that we recognize is filled with change, but it's an exciting change that will better Washington College for years to come. Again, on behalf of the student body, I would like to thank everyone that is honored here today, including our honored students, for serving as an incredible example of what we should all strive to become. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, President Quiros. It's my privilege now to introduce one of the vice chairs of the Washington College Board of Visitors and Governors, Ann Horner. I've known Ann for a long time. In addition to her degree in biology from Washington College, Ann holds an MBA from Wilmington University. She's retired director with Bourne Leisure, a British company that owns holiday and vacation resorts, parks, and caravan parks. That, in our terminology, would be an RV park in the United Kingdom. In addition to her work at Bourne Leisure, she also worked as a managing director of DuPont in the UK. So I'm going to take a moment to just talk to the students because I want to explain something to you. Ann worked for me for many years at DuPont, and now I work for her. So students, here's the lesson. As you pursue your career, be very careful whose butt you kick on the way up, because you just might be kissing it on the way down. Seriously, Ann is a wonderful person. I've known her for years, one of my favorite people. Please join me in welcoming Ann Horner, who will deliver greetings from the Board of Visitors and Governors.
I had all kinds of nice things to say about him, but now I have the microphone. Thank you, May. Your words are truly inspiring. And thank you, Kurt, for your kind introduction. I'm honored to be here on behalf of the Board of Visitors and Governors to welcome you to our Fall Convocation, the time we set aside as a community to honor so many exemplary people in our community. To our honorees, you inspire us with your passion for Washington College and your dedication to the liberal arts. Thank you for choosing to be a part of this community. We are better for having you all and for challenging ourselves to rise to your level of excellence. It truly is my distinct honor to be officially on this stage with Kurt Landgraf. We are thrilled, Kurt, that you chose to lead this institution. As Kurt mentioned, I graduated from Washington College in 1980. I met Kurt at DuPont in 1981, and I was privileged to work for him for the next 15 years. Privileged because he led the DuPont organization with courage and some very simple but powerful beliefs. Kurt believes that it is the role of an organization to create cultures where all individuals can thrive. And when an individual falls short of their own expectations or the expectations of the larger community, Kurt looks first at the organization and his own leadership to ensure that the culture is supportive of each and every person. He then turns to the individual to offer help and guidance. As a result, Kurt leads organizations which are diverse, representative of the society at large, nurturing, curious, creative, successful, and fun. Imagine that model on the campus of Washington College. Leadership which values each individual, be it faculty, team member, or student. Leadership which challenges each member of our community to be ever better, never satisfied, knowing that the culture will support each of us as we strive to be our best. Yes, May, like you, I am convinced that Kurt will lead Washington College to produce the very best liberal arts education, to allow our outstanding students, faculty, and team to become the best versions of themselves. Thank you, Kurt and Rita, for choosing Washington College. We were last together as a community in May at a wonderful Riverside dinner to celebrate the launch of our Forge a Legacy campaign. And I'm delighted to have the opportunity to update you on our progress. Let me first say I understand Bill Schindler is now in residence in Dublin, and chocolate-covered crickets are on the menu. So if you can work a trip over there, I suggest you do it sooner rather than later. More seriously, our goal, as you will remember, is to raise $150 million for our comprehensive campaign, and to raise $25 million of that this year. To date, we've raised $95.2 million, and I'm delighted to report that we are hitting all of our targets across the three broad strategic categories: current use or current programming, capital, typically otherwise known as buildings, and our endowment, which supports many things, and notably scholarships. In this year, which just began on July 1st, our goal was to raise $25 million. 2 years in, we've raised $6.5. We have a very clear line of sight on another 5, so in short order, we're going to be closer to $10 million. It's a great start to what will undoubtedly be another fabulous year. And thank you to everyone in this room, because your contribution is critical to our success. This really is a team effort. All the money we raise is important, whether it be scholarship, faculty chairs, current programming, new ideas, new buildings. But sometimes in a comprehensive campaign, people get galvanized around buildings. I think when they see the shovel, they're like, man, these people really mean what they say. Maybe new buildings open our imagination to new ideas, the art of the possible. Well, I'm delighted to confirm that we're holding 2 groundbreaking ceremonies in the next week. Tomorrow, we celebrate our new waterfront academic building. Truly, an unbelievable success, whether you think about it from a philanthropic perspective, from the programming that we're going to be enabled to do, or simply from the fact that we're finally celebrating that we are sitting on one of the most beautiful rivers in the country. The Siemens Griswold Environmental Hall will be celebrated tomorrow. Wednesday, we celebrate the new Hodson Boathouse. Thank you to the phenomenal generosity of our donors. Thank you for believing Washington College is worthy of your investment. And thank you to everyone in this room and our college community for the courage to embark upon these new initiatives. Congratulations again to all of our honorees, and I look forward to seeing you over the weekend.
Thank you, Ann. At this time, I'd like to introduce the chair of the Washington College Alumni Board, Ariane Roving-Bosch. How'd I do? From the class of 1989 to present Alumni Horizon Ribbon Awards. Ariane.
Thank you, President Landgraf. We'll work on that again. No, it's okay. And let me also pass along greetings and welcome from all the alumni of Washington College. We're so excited to have you here, and we look forward to working with you as we move forward to make this college even better. I'm now here to present the Alumni Horizon Ribbon Award. Established and passed by the full Alumni Board on April 25th, 2009, The Alumni Horizon Ribbon was created as a means of formally identifying and recognizing alumni of the past 15 years. The award is given to an alumnus or alumna who has demonstrated outstanding leadership, service, or scholarship in a particular area. I now have the honor of introducing two Alumni Horizon Ribbon recipients this year. The first is Brenna Nan Schneider, class of 2006. Brenna, will you please join me on stage? Those who knew Brenna Schneider as an undergrad are hardly surprised at the trajectory her career has taken. Her compassion for others, her resilience, and her determination to empower women have propelled this young business executive into the forefront of the next-gen American-made movement. As CEO of 99 Degrees Custom, she employs a socially progressive business model to drive economic mobility for the local workforce in Lawrence, Massachusetts, the birthplace of the American apparel industry. Brenna grew up in her family's Pennsylvania-based manufacturing and design business, which sparked her interest in American manufacturing. Her experience as an economics and international studies major at Washington College, including travel study in India, fueled her passion for economic development. There, this George Washington Medal winner came to understand that by recognizing and promoting women as artisans and business leaders, communities could break the cycle of poverty and catalyze social mobility. With a fellowship from the American India Foundation, Brenna returned to rural India to work with local textile artisans as a means to help accelerate social and economic change. What worked in India, Brenna knew could also work at home. Earning an MBA in social impact management from Brandeis University, Brenna set out to revive the proud tradition of textile manufacturing that thrived in the mill towns of Massachusetts more than a century ago. She worked as the vice president for operations at American Mojo, an apparel manufacturing social enterprise in Lowell, before founding her own startup, 99 Degrees Custom, in 2013. Both the CEO and her team have bright futures. Brenna is winning big clients like West Elm and Under Armour, and with the impetus of the company's up and out employment model, workers are gaining the skills they will need to move into higher paying manufacturing jobs. Brenna clearly has the heart and the intellect to effect real change. In recognition of her determination to revive a flagging industry and to lift up the American workforce, we are delighted to recognize Brenna Nan Schneider with the Alumni Horizon Ribbon Award. The next Horizon Award recipient is Minty Abraham Wade, class of 2004. Minty, please join me on stage. As a survivor of a brutal civil war in Liberia who spent much of her young life as a refugee, Minty Abraham Wade knows all too well the plight of women and children caught in the crossfire. Her family fled the atrocities committed by the Lord's Resistance Army and made their way to the United States, where Minty devoted herself to her studies at Washington College and a career that would empower her to not only stand up against the rebel groups that continues to terrorize Central Africa, but to protect displaced civilian populations around the globe. During her time as an undergraduate, the political science major traveled with Professor Dan Primo on his trip to Cuba, studied abroad in South Africa, and participated in the Model Organization of American States. For her senior capstone project, Minty investigated the HIV/AIDS epidemics in Uganda and South Africa. Her professors remember her as incredibly bright, driven, compassionate, and wise beyond her years. Today, as a high-level analyst with USAID, Minty's work intersects international development, humanitarian relief, and national security. She has forged U.S. government responses to international crises with the Department of State, Department of Defense, and the National Security Council. Throughout her career, Minty has been an advocate for the persecuted, a friend to the forgotten, and a voice for those silenced, from the Iraqi refugees in Jordan and Syria to displaced populations of South Sudan to the young girls abducted and used by Boko Haram extremists as human bombs. As global leaders confront the worst population displacement crisis since World War II, this Washington College graduate is at the forefront, helping to shape foreign policies that alleviate human suffering. Even more profoundly, Minty's work offers millions of people hope, helping them to see, as Desmond Tutu once remarked, that there is light despite all the darkness. In recognition of her significant achievements in foreign affairs and her future promise as a policymaker, we are proud to recognize Minty Abraham Wade with the Alumni Horizon Ribbon Award.
I knew I shouldn't have put this book down. Thank you, Arne. And congratulations, Brenna and Mindy. We are very proud of your accomplishments. At this time, I'd like to introduce Dr. Julie Markin, Assistant Professor of Anthropology and President of Theta of Maryland, Washington College's chapter of Phi Beta Kappa. Dr. Markin will present the Phi Beta Kappa First-Year Awards for Excellence in Liberal Learning.
It is my privilege to be here today to represent the Theta of Maryland. Founded on December 5th, 1776, Phi Beta Kappa is the oldest and most prestigious honor society in the United States. For over 230 years, the society has been the leading advocate for the ideals of a liberal arts education. Our chapter initiates seniors during their spring semester. However, the awards presented today are given annually to high-achieving students in the second year of residency at Washington College, who demonstrated exemplary academic performance during their first 2 semesters. When I call your names, please join us on stage to receive your award and remain on stage for a picture. Audience, please hold your applause until I've called all of the names. Nicole Certizio. Marin Corasanidi. Lauren E. Frick. Larissa Akshevsky. Danny Chow. Rebecca Railson. Faith Stahl, in absentia. Jessica Willey, in absentia. Elizabeth Wilson. Jessica Woodall. And Margaret Young. Please join me in congratulating our award winners.
Thank you, Julie, and congratulations to the students for your first year of work. I hope we can formally welcome you to the Phi Beta Kappa in a few years' time. It is now my distinct pleasure and privilege to call upon the Provost and Dean of the College, Dr. Patrice DeQuinzio, who will present academic honors for the 2016 and 2017 academic year.
Thank you. Thank you, President Landgraf. It gives me great pleasure to be here today to participate in this opening of the academic year. I'm very much looking forward to all the wonderful opportunities that we're going to have together to, as Kurt said, take our outstanding experience for our students and make it even better. And it's certainly a great pleasure to recognize and honor the students we have here today. Students, when I call your name, will you please come forward? The first award is the First Year Scholarship Medal, given annually to the student or students who attain the highest academic average during their first year. And the students are Nicole Certizio, Marin Corasanidi, Lauren Frick, Larissa Ovshevsky, Danny Chow, Rebecca Railson, Faith Marie Stahl in absentia, Elizabeth Melanie Wilson, Jessica Woodhall, Jessica Lee Wiley in absentia, and Margaret Young. Congratulations. The Alumni Medal, awarded to the member of the sophomore class who attains the highest academic average for the year. This year, our award winners are Rose Adelizzi, Hannah Wampler, Julia Portman, Patrick O'Neill in absentia, and Kelsey McNall. Congratulations. The Visitors and Governors Medal, given annually to the junior who attains the highest academic average for the year. This year, our award winners are Debashish Goyanka and Anna Jertson. It's also a pleasure to present the Interfraternity Panhellenic Council Awards. This award is held annually by the sorority and the fraternity that has achieved the highest scholastic average for the preceding year. This year, our sorority is Alpha Chi Omega. And our fraternity is Phi Delta Theta. Yes, stay here. Stay, and we'll get a picture of everybody.
Why does this one smell like beer?
Nice work. These are the next ones. Next, we have the Mittendorf Scholars, given annually by the Mittendorf Foundation to rising seniors for academic excellence and leadership qualities. This year, the recipients are Sung Min Michael Cho in absentia, Victoria Marie Klein, and Brooke Elizabeth Schultz in absentia. And our final student award, the Mittendorf Environmental Studies Scholar, given annually by the Mittendorf Foundation to a rising senior for academic excellence and leadership qualities. Our winner this year is Rose Adalizzi. And congratulations to all of our winners. We're very proud of all of you.
Thank you, Patrice. Congratulations to each of these students for their academic achievement. You know, it's a wonderful tradition at the college that the faculty member presented with the Distinguished Teaching Award at commencement is invited to address the audience at Fall Convocation. This year's award recipient is Dr. James Allen Hall, Associate Professor and Director of the Rose O'Neill Literary House. A prolific, talented writer, James holds an undergraduate degree in English literature from Stetson University, an MFA in poetry from Bennington College, and a PhD in creative writing and literature from the University of Houston. James, would you please join me here at the lectern? We're going to get huggy here, folks. You know, it's one thing to be an extraordinary teacher. James Allen Hall is certainly that. He's an immensely talented writer, dedicated to sharing the power of language and form. Yet it's quite a different thing to be someone who stands in solidarity with those just finding the courage to be themselves. James, an associate professor of English and director of the Rose O'Neill Literary House, is a master at helping young writers find their voice and learn how to contribute to the national conversation about the power of love and beauty in a world struggling for peace and social justice. In addition to teaching creative writing, James serves as editor-in-chief of the Cherry Tree Literary Journal and as a director of the Cherry Tree Young Writers Conference. His own work explores the intersectionality of race, class, religion, gender, and orientation As fellow poet Julie Marcus once remarked, he writes his way through risk to refuge. For him, language has always something at stake. As both teacher and editor, he values poems and essays that risk emotion while thinking hard about the subject at hand, all while employing fresh language, surprising images, vivid lyricism, and organic structure. His first book of poetry, Now You're the Enemy, won awards from the Lambda Literary Foundation, the Tees Institute of Letters, and the personal essays in his second book, I Liked You Before I Knew You So Well. Now, I want you to know it's my goal not to be the next essay. Has been called Testaments. Oh, want me to repeat that one? No. Okay. See, I said I liked you. Okay. I liked you before I knew you so well have been called testaments to perseverance shaped by the acceptance of a flawed self, love for a complicated family, and an unflappable wit. These are valuable messages for all to hear. On this occasion, in recognition of his exemplary teaching and his contribution to fostering a deeper understanding and acceptance of cultural diversity, it is with great pleasure that we recognize Dr. James Allen Hall, the 2017 recipient of the Alumni Award for Distinguished Teaching. Please welcome one of our finest. Thank you, James, for your service to Washington College. Today,
Oh, I have to speak
I
first.
know that. I was going to say that.
Yeah, I think I have to do that first.
I know. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. Come over here. See, he's vivid in his language. So, I'm going to start again, okay?
That's cool.
Okay. Thank you, James, for your service to Washington College. I'd like to offer you the opportunity to speak to your colleagues.
Okay. Since you offered it. Hey, y'all. It's an honor to be up here with all you rock stars. And welcome Rita and President Landgraf, especially. And I want to say congratulations to the student award winners. I know especially how hard some of you have worked, and it's a real inspiration. And secondly, were you born to be SGA president? Look what you're wearing. That's dedication to Washington College, right? I'm going to dress in the colors. I'm not wearing a hat because I love Washington College, but only this much. Only this much. And the last thing I want to say sort of before I begin is that I'm only up here because of my colleagues who inspire me to be a good teacher, to be good in the classroom, and who also challenge me to be a better teacher and person. Hey, Audie. That challenge part. And I guess I would also say, it's not lost on me that I'm the fifth white dude in as many years as I've been here to stand in this position. And I just want to say thank you especially to my female colleagues who lift me up and make me a better teacher every day. And if I could just say that, especially the women I came in with, I really want to say thank you for getting me through so much. And then if I had to choose one, I had the honor of living with Laura Eckelman for a year, and I think probably, aside from Say Yes to the Dress or whatever that we watched, we also had a lot of talks about teaching, and I'm indebted to those conversations. See how they hurry to enter their bodies, these spirits. Is it better, flesh, that they should hurry so? From above, the green-winged angels blare down trumpets and light, but they don't care. They hurry to congregate. They hurry into speech until it's a marketplace. It is humanity. So begins Jory Graham's poem at Luca Signorelli's Resurrection of the Body. The poem starts by describing the scene, which is itself a painting on the fresco walls of a church in Italy. Up from the dry earth, spirits wrench themselves out of their sepulchres and press themselves back into their bodies. Ghosts regenerate into sinew and corpuscle, into tongue and lung. The angels trumpet each resurrection like terrible and awesome Pied Pipers. Their music may be calling forth the remarriage of the soul and the skeletal. I studied this poem in a class called The Poetry of Ideas as an undergraduate, and I still have the original syllabus of that course. And up until when I moved here, when it was damaged, I also managed to hold on to a Post-it note that the professor of that class scribbled 4 names on that forever changed my life. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Back to the scene of the poem and the place I encountered it. Late afternoon seminar room in Flagler Hall, where the high arched windows faced the setting sun. The professor, Dr. Terry Whittick, at the front of the classroom, the blackboard, a kind of dramatic black box backdrop. Her voice swelling as she read Graham's poem, which is full of philosophical questions, like the first one the speaker asked after the beginning I quoted. So here's the next part. But still, we wonder, in the chancel of the dark cathedral, is it better back? The artist has tried to make it so. Each tendon they press to re-enter is perfect. But is it perfection they're after, pulling themselves up through the soil, into the weightedness, the color, into the eye of the painter? Isn't that a heady proposition? Is it better here to be resurrected, to come back, or to stay dead, to leave our bodies? Is earthly existence really what we want? Luca Signorelli, the artist, has made a fresco of incredible detail. Here, a ghastly face, almost fog-like, and here a body reformed and excruciatingly detailed, as if the painter's eye that is the painter's eye that most closely resembles the angel's music, that is, imbued with the power to resurrect, to give birth through the soil into the eye of the painter. The middle part of the poem is maybe the most fascinating because it imagines what happens after the spirits re-enter their bodies, but in the interest of time, I'll sum it up. They amble off in groups. Past the silver grasses at the edges of Signorelli's painting, out past the year 1500, the speaker tells us, into the unknowable. Here the speaker turns to her fellow viewer. Standing below them in the church in Orvieto, how can we tell them to be stern and brazen and slow? That there is no entrance, only entering. They keep on arriving, wanting names, wanting happiness. These new people want to be named, as if carrying a marker, an identity, can ever provide one all the joy requisite for a satisfying life. The speaker tells us there is no entrance, only entering, using the gerund to let us know that we are always becoming something else. There is hope we may yet be redeemed, transformed, reborn in another order altogether. Perhaps identity will never be fixed, and I mean that in all the ways that I can, and maybe that is its joy. The poem shifts here to the painter Signorelli himself, who is also an art anatomist, watching medical dissections of cadavers when he could, but also perhaps visiting burial grounds to collect body parts, which he then took back to his studio to draw. The poem imagines him in his studio. Luca Signorelli, in the name of God and science and the believable, broke into the body, studying arrival. But the wall of the flesh opens endlessly, its vanishing point so deep and receding, we have yet to find it, to have it stop us. So he cut deeper, graduating slowly from the symbolic to the beautiful. How far is true? The detail, the weightedness and color that the eye of the painter can impart to these bodies then has depended upon his experience as a dissector, as a student of anatomy. Have I properly grossed you out yet? Or perhaps confirmed for you your secret fears that the poet and the grave robber were always one and the same? But Graham's poem ends, pressing further into truth, graduating, as she says, from the flat story that explains the art to the beautiful story behind the impulse to create. Here's the ending. When one son died violently, he had the body brought to him and laid it on the drawing table and stood at a certain distance awaiting the best possible light, the best depth of day. Then with beauty and care and technique and judgment, cut into shadow, cut into bone and sinew in every pocket in which the cold light pooled. It took him days, that deep caress, cutting, unfastening, until his mind could climb into the open flesh and mend itself. Here, Signorelli's mind projects into his son's lifeless body, trying to resurrect him, the father giving his energy so that his son might live again. Have you forgotten where you are? That you're hearing this poem read to you by a teacher and a poet? Late afternoon light, room crowded with heat, sun sliding down the walls, everything haloed and golden, watching as your professor begins to weep as she reads the end of this poem. Weep quietly. Weep for the son, her eldest, who hanged himself in the barn behind her house, where she found him one afternoon after school and cut him down so that she might save him. It was here in that classroom that I realized how thin the difference between teaching and poetry was, that both could open a space above and slightly askew of the physical space we inhabit, that they both suspended time of its death march, where we are able to reframe how we think of ourselves, moving our minds into another person's experience, then ambling off the fresco walls in Florida to Orvieto and back, revising not just how we feel, but how we know we feel, graduating from the symbolic to the beautiful, a sublime space where we continue entering into speech, into humanity. Late afternoon light, Dr. Wittick's office, a few weeks after she read and then analyzed for us Graham's poem, teaching her students with what I've come to realize was her full self. I sat in the chair, and when she turned to me and said, "So what are we talking about?" I blurted out that I was gay. I didn't know how to say it. Not to a person of authority, a person I respected. I hadn't even told my parents yet. I don't think I was the first kid to come out to her. She said, "That's great, you should write a poem about it." And I said, "How?" And she didn't blink. She said, "I have just the thing for you," smiling at me and then turning swiftly to rob her bookshelf. Off came a book, Mark Doty's My Alexandria, and then she wrote 4 names on a Post-it, said, "Here, and if these don't do the trick, there are others waiting for you." And it wasn't their poetries that I needed. Ashbery, the late great Ashbery, Merrill, O'Hara, and Koch are far away from where I live as a poet. It was that there was finally someone I respected and looked up to and acknowledged who I was, saw me clearly and did not blink or stutter, sketched the outlines of a group to which I could amble off and find when I didn't know that such a thing existed outside of a club or a bar. I didn't know there was thinking and writing and art of people like me. I didn't even know there were people like me. Nor did I know that I hadn't been really living, not really, until I found them, and that finding them remade me, resurrected me. Finding them, I could finally climb into their words and heal the wounds I didn't know until then I carried. This is what you do every day, and I stand to thank you.
Phenomenal, huh? So I can see why you chose him. I want to tell a real quick story about him. So I agreed to do a first-year book reading group. So I read the book. I thought I sort of understood it, but just to be sure, I asked Dr. Hall if I could come visit him at the Rosie O'Neill Center to make sure that I understood it correctly. So it was a rainy, crappy day, and after I found a parking spot in Rock Hall, I came back and sat down, and I told him, and to be blunt, I realized immediately I was in the presence of brilliance, a brilliant man. So I said to him, look, never did this before, don't know how this goes, I agreed to do it, not even sure why I agreed to do it, okay? But could you send me, and this is, I think I said this to you, could you send me a few notes that might help me to make sure this discussion goes well? 2 days later, I got 2 packages, both eligible for Pulitzer Prizes. Package A was, if the students read the book, which I might add to the faculty, turned out to be of no use to me. Package B was if the students haven't read the book, which was very useful. So I am greatly appreciative of you. It's a delight to know you and a delight to be at a college where you are. Congratulations. So today we've honored our own alumni, faculty, and students who have set examples of accomplishment, integrity, and service to others, and who, frankly, are role models for our entire community. It is now my great honor to confer the highest degree that Washington College can bestow upon someone who shares our values of integrity, our values of service to others, and who cares deeply about other human beings. Vice Chair Ann Horner will read the mandamus for the degree.
President Landgraf, it having been certified by the Honors and Awards Committee to the Visitors and Governors of Washington College that Arne M. Sorenson is of acknowledged eminence and distinction, has made worthwhile and noteworthy contributions to our society, and is therefore worthy to receive the highest honors, you are hereby authorized and directed, in accordance with the ordinance to that effect, to confer at the public convocation on September 7th, 2017, to Arne Sorenson, honoris causa, the degree of Doctor of Laws.
Thank you, Ann. Arne Sorenson, would you please step up to join me at the lectern? So this is a great thrill for me. It is. He doesn't remember this, but I met him a long time ago. And I've admired him for years and years and years, so this is truly a thrill for me. Under the leadership of Arne Sorenson, Marriott International has experienced growth unprecedented in the hotel industry. The company has quadrupled in size since he joined the executive staff in 1996. In the 2016 merger with Starwood Hotels and Resorts, made the hotel company the largest in the world. And it has a deep portfolio of luxury brands. You know, that's a lot of guests, nearly 1 million a day. And I told Mr. Sorenson that knowing that they were coming here, we got letters in my office from several of his employees worldwide requesting wage increases and things like that. So they follow him very carefully. He has 650,000 hotel associates to support guests around the globe. So when Marriott takes a stand on social and environmental issues, people listen. Throughout his career at Marriott International as head of mergers, acquisitions, and chief financial officer, and is the only non-Marriott to ever serve as CEO. Arne Sorenson has embraced the company's core values of putting people first and has driven Marriott's commitment to diversity and inclusion as fundamental to its strategic business goals. In addition to kudos for the best hotel customer service and most innovative business practices, Marriott International is also one of the world's most ethical companies. Considering all facets of operation, Arne Sorenson has propelled his company's commitment to influence and drive positive change in the business community and societies around the world. Committed to preserve and protect the planet and its resources, Marriott is working to address a set of 17 sustainable development goals to end poverty, fight inequality, and injustice. And in addition, with this hurricane coming, tackle climate change by the year 2030. The company enjoys a well-deserved reputation as an advocate for people with disabilities. It is truly renowned for its professional development of women leaders and ranks as a best place to work for working mothers. And it consistently ranks among America's top corporations for LGBT equality with its perfect score from the Human Rights Campaign on Corporate Equality Index. When global enterprises such as Marriott consider the impact of their actions on their employees, investors, customers, and other key stakeholders, and then leverage those values as a key part of their culture and use integrity as an underpinning of what they do in making decisions every day, this world will be a better place. In recognition of Arne Sorenson's commitment to social responsibility and global citizenship, it is my distinct honor and privilege to present him with the honorary degree, Doctor of Laws. So before I invite Dr. Sorenson to speak to you, I want to tell you, as someone who spent a lot of years in the corporate world, if every corporate executive in this country acted the way he does every day, our country, our economy, our world, and our people would be so much better off in every possible way. This is a tremendous honor. Let me invite you to make some remarks.
Thank you, Professor Landgraf. You leave me speechless. That was an extraordinarily generous introduction, and I am extraordinarily honored to now be part of the Washington College community. Members of the board and governors, faculty, staff, distinguished guests, and of course the students of Washington College, I'm incredibly grateful to be here with you tonight. The awardees, I thought, were fabulous stories. Brenna and Minty, you inspire all of us with the early starts to your careers, and we look forward to hearing about more of your success in the years ahead and the great contribution you make to the places where you live and work. And James, you make us all want to be poets and teachers. We were all inspired by your remarks. Thank you for sharing them. I'm sure you have many proud fellow faculty members here who are thrilled with the words that you shared with them tonight. In many respects, I'm here because of the Chesapeake Bay, not because of any of the stories that Professor Landgraf just spoke about. My wife, Ruth, who is here with me tonight, and I have had a home on Grazian Creek, just down the Chester River from here, for about 20 years. We don't get enough days there, but it is where our hearts are. We love the Chesapeake Bay. Its crabs and its oysters, of course the rockfish. A place for an evening paddleboard ride, which is very regular for us. And of course, as you all know, the familiar honking of the Canadian geese as the summer comes to an end, and increasingly a daily sighting of American bald eagles, who have returned to this place in force after years of pressure on their habitat. We were at a Chesapeake Bay Foundation event last year, and we ran into President Bear. She heard me talking about the Chesapeake Bay and our place on Grazian Creek, and before I knew it, I had had an invitation to come to Washington College, which of course I accepted immediately. Now, as neighbors, we need to be really thoughtful about this place. The oysters are certainly not as plentiful today as they were when President Washington came through Kent County, I think 7 times, if I remember right, some 200 years ago. There's still plenty of environmental challenges for the bay, especially around runoff and water quality. But even with those pressures, it is a jewel. And while we're here, let's marvel at it and take care of it just as we would any other jewel. It's particularly thrilling for me to be on a campus right after Labor Day. There is nothing like a college in September. It is a time of extraordinary promise and anticipation for faculty, for staff, for students. The questions are different for each of us. They may be about how that roommate is going to turn out. It may be about the class that I am forced to take or that I am forced to teach. It may be a question about how the new arrivals are going to be. I remember picking up the new books for the beginning of each semester in the fall, as I'm sure all of us do. Big stack of books. Maybe today you don't even pick up books. You just get them on your iPads or computers. But it was with such excitement we would buy those books. Of course, always be stunned by how expensive they were. But also that each book looked like it might hold secrets that would illuminate things, that would cause us to really think deeply about what we were studying and about the world around us. Well, it's been almost 40 years, I guess a little more than 40 years since I started collecting college memories. But I remember this like it was yesterday. I remember a fellow first year who smoked a pipe in our small group class. I remember the sheer terror of the first weeks of Shakespeare. We have a Shakespeare faculty member here, I presume. A new language, it seemed, but ultimately extraordinarily eye-opening. I remember auditioning to be a second bass in the choir. I made it, but only because I can hit the B flats. And I remember some wonkish things, like we had a 2 or 3 day visit by Julian Jaynes, who had just published a book called The Origins of Consciousness and the Breakdown of the Bicameral Mind. It was fascinating. I will share you too many details about that because I could go on for a long time about it. Now, for the students who are here, you will have many memories that you take from this place. They will certainly include memories of parties and of friendships, but they may include other things. Hopefully, they will include memories of faculty members who have changed your lives, memories of disciplines that have started you on a path to learning. And those sparks, savor them, because they will be things that you come back to over and over again. Among the things that I remember well, I ran essentially every evening before the last call at cafeteria, usually alone, except for maybe for a few thoughts from the day. Today, I still run almost daily, but I run slower, and I run in the morning. Perhaps most powerfully for me from college was memory of traveling abroad, which I know many Washington College students get to do as well. I went to Beirut, Lebanon for most of the summer of 1979. It was a country then locked in civil war, where gunfire was part of our regular daily routine. I remember going to see an American movie, I think it was a Clint Eastwood movie, in a theater in Beirut, and literally gunfire came from the row behind us in the most exciting parts of the movie. But it was a place that was as welcoming as it was frightening, and eye-opening for an American to be in a place where people read about and feared our country, but also wanted badly to have friendships with us and to understand our place. The years you have here at Washington College, students, are really extraordinary when viewed in a global context. It is less than 1% of your peers around the world who have the opportunity to study at a place of this sort of excellence. We forget it because it becomes familiar to us, but don't let it become so familiar that you forget the extraordinary opportunity that you have to spend 4 years, maybe more sometimes, doing nothing but learning and studying. Now, you should savor that not only because it's extraordinary, but because you will need what you learn here in order to succeed and to contribute to the communities where you make your home. We say it so often that it is sometimes hard to take seriously, but the pace of change is so fast in our world today that your work and your life will require continuous learning to keep up. My own story is an example of that. I was a religion major as an undergrad, inspired by faith and philosophy, culture, and history. But immediately after college, I didn't go to seminary, but I went to law school. And while that study there was not really that similar, the study of texts and context, which I did in undergrad, prepared me well for law school. I practiced law for 13 years as a litigator. And as a litigator, it's important to learn in each case the facts of that case, often complicated facts, and be able to simplify them to tell a story that conveys not just the facts, but the fairness of the way that story is put together. I learned through that process, and then suddenly I found that a client at Marriott had invited me to come out and do something other than practice law. Without much thought, I said, I'm there, I'll come and do it. And I found myself quickly being an M&A practitioner, then a CFO, and now a CEO. I've never been prepared for any of those jobs. But because I love to read and I love to study, it has been an extraordinary privilege to me to be able to continue to learn in that work. The learning continues to this day. We have a company that is growing quickly. Professor Landgraf talked about our acquisition of Starwood last year, which was a $13 billion deal. We went from being uninterested in acquiring Starwood to jumping at acquiring Starwood in just about 6 months, because the world was changing quickly and we understood that we needed different tools to compete in the future. That's the kind of change that you will take with you in your years ahead. Now, the preparation is important not only for your careers, but for the society we live in today. It's obvious to so many of us that we live in a society that is riven by conflict. We seem to be better now at dividing and polarizing than uniting and synthesizing. So I want to tell you a story that illuminates this a little bit. A woman in a hot air balloon realized she was lost. She lowered her altitude and spotted a man in a boat below. She shouted to him, "Excuse me, can you help me? I promised a friend I would meet him an hour ago, but I don't know where I am." The man consulted his portable GPS and replied, "You're in a hot air balloon, approximately 30 feet above sea level. You are at 39 degrees, 12 minutes north latitude, and 76 degrees, 4 minutes west longitude." She rolled her eyes and said, "You must be a Republican." "I am," replied the man. "How did you know?" "Well," answered the balloonist, "everything you told me is technically correct, but totally irrelevant to my life. You've told me where I am, but I'm still lost. Frankly, you're not much help to me. The man smiled and responded, "You must be a Democrat." "I am," she replied. "How did you don't know where you are or where you're going? You made a promise you have no idea how to keep. You're in exactly the same position you were in before we met, and somehow now it's all my fault." I started telling this story years ago, and it now seems almost quaint. Today, you wonder whether the balloonist and the boater would even talk to each other. But I hope it goes without saying that we'd be better off if we talk to each other, always with a genuine interest in understanding another perspective and in seeing whether another path might work better for us. Let's take a few of the issues that seem to be topical today. No matter who you voted for in the last election, it's reasonably obvious that we are collectively searching for a new consensus, or maybe any consensus, on immigration. But before you take a strong stance on immigration, ask yourself, though, whether you know how the laws on immigration in the United States work. What's the process that a foreign citizen needs to follow to get the right to come to the United States? What are our limits annually on immigration? How are they set? How many undocumented immigrants do we have in the U.S. today? Are they working? Do they pay taxes? Are they more or less likely to commit crimes than the rest of our society? Most people, even many who are actively engaged in the debate about immigration, have no idea what the answers to some of these questions are. Instead, they take a stand or position, often at one extreme or another. Should we evict all of our 12 million immigrants with no process and no regard for their contribution to American society? Or should we create sanctuaries where we refuse to comply with any of the existing laws? In my own view, each of these approaches is wrong-headed, and they will never take us to a place where we can build a consensus on immigration until we begin to understand the facts and talk to each other about how to build a future where we can welcome people from abroad. My views about immigration are influenced by a lifetime of global travel, of course, but also early years in my life living in Tokyo and experiences like the summer in Beirut in 1979. But they're always also influenced by the stories I get to hear every day. Every day I get 300 or 400 emails, often from customers of ours. Sometimes they name a specific person who has been kind to them in their travel. We have an associate in Chicago named Ismeta. She's an associate at a Residence Inn in downtown Chicago, and she's responsible for overseeing the breakfast room. Breakfast at Residence Inn is included in the room rate. This is a big hotel, and there are hundreds of people that come through the breakfast room every day. I have had emails from customers about Ismeta once a month for 5 years. The emails are all the same. This woman makes me feel like I'm family. She launches me on a day with new optimism. I love this woman. I wish all of your people were like her. Comments like that over and over again. I was in Chicago about a month ago, and I was touring hotels and said, I want to go see Ismeta. So we found the GM of the hotel and called to make sure Ismeta was working the next day, and showed up Friday morning for the breakfast hour. Total surprise to Ismeta. And of course, I left after about 15 minutes, like those guests she takes care of every day, feeling better about myself. But Ismeta told me her story. She has been in the US for about 20 years, having grown up in Bosnia, where she lost her entire family, with the exception of one brother, in their war. She made her way to the United States through Europe, and now makes her life in Chicago, working at the Residence Inn by Marriott. Are we better because Ismeta is in our society? Absolutely. How do we build a policy that allows us to make sure that Ismetas and people like her stay, and that more can come? One more example of a kind of issue that seems to be ripping us apart at the moment. Let's talk about history. And maybe particularly the statues that are sprinkled across our communities. You could take that of George Washington. He's an important figure, obviously, to this place. I've read nearly a dozen biographies of George Washington. He's a fascinating man. He is, in some respects, because of the passage of time, in some respects, probably because of his personality, he comes across as a bit wooden, like his teeth. But there are a few things we know for certain. One, he was a slaveholder. The thing that I think is most extraordinary is he walked away from power and started a tradition in the United States of true democracy, that there would be a passing of the baton from one president to the next. Now, should we honor a man like George Washington by naming a college after him, by having a statue in the Yard? We have thousands of statues of him all across the country. I think, of course, we should. Can we have a disagreement about it? Yes, we can. And we can have a conversation, community to community, whether it be about that statue or statues of others who are maybe much harder to defend, but still we must have a conversation. Now, that doesn't mean that any point of view deserves respect. What happened in Charlottesville last month was not about preserving historical statues. You don't march to preserve historical statues with torches that evoke the Ku Klux Klan and shouting, "Jews go home," or "Jews will not replace us." That is racism pure and simple, and it must be condemned. Now, we could go on. We could go on talking about issues like these, but we don't have the time tonight. But my encouragement to the students here is simple. And I ask the faculty and the entire Washington College community to work with this. Learn the facts. Understand the approach. Be curious, maybe especially about views that are different from yours. Engage in the debate. Have your own point of view and advocate it, but never at the expense of understanding others. Let me tell you one more story before closing. I tell this story in the hope that it will give you hope about the power of talking to each other. We have a neighbor here in Kent County. He's a local waterman, born and raised here, with roots in the county lasting well over a century. Well before Charlottesville, but recently, we suddenly saw that he had hoisted a Confederate flag in his backyard. Now, one morning I was out for a run. Having completed my run, I was stretching at the end of the road, and he drove up, and we had our usual first greetings. I said, "Good morning, how are you?" He says, "Half dead." Has nothing to do with the Confederate flag. But then I said, "We need to get you an American flag." He said, "Why?" I said, "Because you've got a Confederate flag in the backyard, and it's got to come down." He said, "Well, I have an American flag. And what about those Confederate soldiers that fought in the war and didn't have slaves?" I said, "That's 100 years ago, 150 years ago. And no matter what you think you're communicating with that flag, it is a symbol of hate, pure and simple." He said, "Not around here, it isn't." I said, "It is too. It is to me. It is to everybody who's African American. It is to everybody who's under 50 years old. And whatever you think you're doing, that's not what's being heard." That afternoon, the flag was replaced with the American flag. Now, you can hear that story as a story that should give you concern because the flag was up in the first instance. I tell it as a story of hope because I think it is a path towards change. It's a path toward inclusiveness. The long arc of history here is in favor of inclusiveness. We will never stop it. We shouldn't try and stop it. We can't stop it. It is the right thing to do. I'm going on too long, so let me close by saying, all of you, savor your time here at Washington College. It will come to an end soon for you students. One day you'll know it came to an end too soon. But again, capture enough of this place, take it with you, take the curiosity and the continuous learning with you, take care of each other while you're here. Have a great year in 2017 to 2018. Thank you.
I think that's the third time I've heard Dr. Sorenson speak, and I always have several emotions. One, Marriott is lucky to have you. This country is lucky to have you. But the 650,000 employees that you influence, they don't have any clue how lucky they are to have a man with your value system who leads their corporation. They're a lucky 650,000. We are honored to have you here. Thank you for your talk. Now, Mrs. Sorenson, I don't know if you know this, but you now must call him Dr. Sorenson for at least 3 days. So thank you all. It's great to see everyone. As we conclude this afternoon's convocation, I'd like to invite the audience to join us for a light reception in the Underwood lobby, where you'll have a chance to meet and congratulate our honorees. I'd like to ask you to stand and join Wacapello in singing our alma mater. The words are printed on the back of the program. Then please continue standing for the benediction to be offered by Reverend Ford, and remain standing until the academic recession has retired.
Benediction is a blessing, and the scriptures are full of blessings. I chose another one. I was invited here today as the father of a first-year student at Washington College, and it has been a privilege to be introduced to the Washington College family this way. I didn't know I would follow such an esteemed poet. But the benediction that I chose is from the book called Blessing the Space Between Us by one of my favorite poets, John O'Donohue. I'm only sorry I don't have the rich Irish brogue that goes along with this to deliver it. But it's called Beannacht, which is the Gaelic word for blessing. As the space has increased between my family and my daughter and our family, geographically, I know that there is a blessing that is due for the space between all of us as we leave this place today. On the day when the weight deadens on your shoulders and you stumble, may the clay dance to balance you. And when your eyes freeze behind the gray window and the ghost of loss gets into you, may a flock of colors, indigo, red, green, and azure blue, come to awaken you in the meadow of delight. When the canvas frays in the car of thought and the stain of the ocean blackens beneath you, may there come across the waters a path of yellow moonlight to bring you safely home. May the nourishment of the earth be yours. May the clarity of light be yours. May the fluency of the ocean be yours. May the protection of the ancestors be yours. And so, may a slow wind work these words of love around you, an invisible cloak to mind your life. Blessings be to you. Go in peace.